Good afternoon to all the participants of this 13th AFOMP monthly virtual webinar. As you know that due to this COVID pandemic, we cannot stop the education, and AFOMP decided to have the virtual monthly webinar, and we started in June 2020. This is a 13th webinar in this series. And if you look at the AFOMP website, you will find the schedule of again July to December already it is there. Various aspects and various topics we have tried to cover. Education is a very, very important for a professional.
Dr. Aaron, I think we lost you. Dr. Aaron, your microphone is muted.
Yeah. Sorry for the disconnection. So this is a 13th AFOMP monthly webinar. And to add to these things, we are starting AFOMP school webinar on a basic topics of 2 to 3 hours, and that will be launched soon. And for your information, I would like to tell you that this year's AOCMP, AFOMP's annual meeting, will be in Bangladesh during 10 to 12th of December in a hybrid mode. All of you are invited for this conference. So I will like to introduce today's moderator. I hope you are able to see the screen. Are you able to see?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir. We can see.
Yeah. So today's moderator is Dr. Mary Joan, who is Assistant Professor and Radiation Safety Officer and Nodal Officer of the State Cancer Institute, Jaipur at India. She has done PhD in radiation physics from Kirwai Memorial Institute of Oncology, post-MSc diploma in radiological physics from the Baba Atomic Research Center, Maharashtra. She has more than 12 years of experience of the clinical radiological physics in addition to professional assignment she has got. Then she is Radiation Safety Officer at SMS Medical College and Hospital, member of the Professional Relation Committee of the AFOMP, Nodal Officer for the Nuclear Medicine Department for the State Cancer Institute, Executive Committee member of the Association of Medical Physicians of India Northern Chapter. She has organized 4 national and multinational research grants already she has got. She organized many conferences, published over 19 research articles, 66 research presentations, 30 invited talks, and 30 conferences. Without not taking more time, I will hand over the floor to Dr. Mary Joan, who is the moderator of today's webinar, to introduce the speaker and conduct this webinar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And a warm good afternoon from Jaipur, India to all of you. Welcome to the 13th monthly webinar of the AFOMP 20th anniversary celebrations. Today we are discussing knowledge-based planning, research and practice for cancer treatment. This is a very hot topic nowadays in the medical physics community as well as in the research radiation dosimetry field. So coming to the knowledge-based planning, knowledge-based radiotherapy treatment is used to objectively incorporate prior experience into radiotherapy treatment planning. It is knowledge intensive and technically complex as to achieve the inherently conflicting nature of maximizing tumor control while minimizing normal organ damage. This technique aims to improve the quality and efficiency of radiotherapy treatment planning by learning from the database of past clinical plans. Some of these developments has led to commercial products that allowed the investigation of KBP in numerous clinical applications. There are a good number of publications on KBP methods and validation of their results for various types of cancer sites. Some approaches to KBP are based on cases and atlases, and the others on statistical models and machine learning. This is again a very interesting and hot topic of research and discussion today in the medical physics fraternity. The KBP methods are generally equivalent to expert level planners in terms of plan quality and are significantly more efficient, indicating that clinical application of KBP is achievable following standardized matrices and prospective designs for rarer and more complex cancer sites. Larger data sets that are integrated across multiple institutions will be critical to achieve these more challenging goals. And as we try on our day-to-day practice of radiotherapy treatment planning, optimization is the key, and we have to go further ahead into bringing it into our daily routine practice and bringing up very good, efficient, good quality treatment plans from our past experiences. And to talk on this topic today, we have with us Professor Dr. Iabo Shang. Professor Shang is Associate Professor of Medical Physics and Deputy Director of Education and Research in the Department of Radiation Oncology, Peking University Cancer Hospital, Beijing, China. He is first or corresponding author of more than 17 papers and principal investigator for 13 grants and first inventor of 6 patents. And we, on behalf of all the AFOMP members and all the participants who are present here, we welcome you to today's talk on this knowledge-based planning, research and practices for cancer treatment. Professor Shang, please, over to you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you for your introduction, and thank you everyone for coming to the monthly webinar of AFOMP. And it's my honor to present our research and clinical practice of knowledge-based planning to everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see you.
Good. So today's topic is about knowledge-based planning, and as I said, I will introduce both of our research and practice using the knowledge-based planning, which is mainly the commercial product of variant known as Reptile. So here's my disclosure. This research is funded by Variant Research Collaboration Grant, and some of the data are from the clinical trial, which is the Halcyon clinical trial implemented at our hospital last year. So I think Mary just introduced very well about what knowledge-based planning and the advantages of knowledge-based planning. So I think for most hospitals or clinical users, the most accessible tool is Reptile, which is provided by Variant Eclipse treatment planning systems. After the version of 13.5, you will have an option of a knowledge-based planning license known as Reptile. So as for Reptile itself, how it works, first you need prior knowledge, which is historical plans. So the Reptile will automatically extract the patient information, including structure, the anatomies, the dose prescription, and the existing field geometries. And they will use as a prior knowledge to train a DVH estimation model. So the DVH estimation model will is actually the core part, the key part of the process of knowledge-based planning. You can either create your own model or you can use the existing model. So I will demonstrate, or I will make some examples of using both of your own model and the existing models, and present how it works. It is necessary to understand those models are tumor site specific. So one model only works for one type of cancer. We cannot use a head and neck cancer for prostate, for example. And it also contains information about what is achievable goals and what are acceptable like trade-offs, which are learned from the historical experiences and knowledges. So the model will predict the most likely achievable dose distribution, and from those distribution, the model will automatically generate the objectives for optimization. And we can also add some manual optimization parameters to make the model better to fit our clinical practice. So that is the process how knowledge-based planning automated the whole process of treatment planning, or I should say the optimization process of the treatment planning. So today's presentation is composed of majorly 4 parts. I will briefly introduce our model construction and application at Beijing Cancer Hospital. And I will also introduce our research on how the model could kind of evolution of the model. And also the combination of ESAPI, which is Eclipse Scripting Application Program Interface. We believe the combined use of ESAPI and Reptile actually has a better, has a stronger function than apply them alone. And last but not least, I will introduce how we use the existing models known as model adaptation and transfer from one institution to the other. So first we start from the model construction at Beijing Cancer Hospital. But before we do a rapid plan model, I suggest everyone consider first is what kind of cancer type should we configure this model for? As I introduced, every rapid plan model is actually patient or the cancer type specific. So for our first model, we considered at least those aspects. First, we should consider our historical or existing data volume because it's knowledge-based planning. So the knowledge is, the prior knowledge is very important for the model configuration. We need a large amount of historical data available for the model training. So that's why we need to consider how much patient in history you have of a specific cancer type. And also the quality of your historical data, because machine learning, there is a saying that garbage in, garbage out. If your historical data is not very good in quality, you cannot expect good output of your model. And also the standardization of the data, because it's very time consuming to wash the data. And also what kind of application you want to use your rapid plan model. For example, you want to improve the clinical efficiency or improve your plan quality or reduce the varieties, interplanar varieties between the hospitals or between the different dosimetrists in your center, which is improvement of consistency. And if you want to have other like kind of specific requirement, if you want to do clinical trial, as to my knowledge, an increasing number of clinical trials, when they recruit new cases, when they publish their protocols, they also give them a rapid plan model so they can make the multi-institutional treatment planning quality more consistent than before. Or the rapid plan model can also be used for teaching, which is the current study at my center. We use it for the training of junior physicists. So model structures and evaluation criteria is another consideration before our modeling. Like, of course, we should follow international and domestic guidelines, but I believe every institution have your own practice and habits, especially for the treatment planning process. For example, we use NTO, normal tissue objectives at our center, but a lot of centers, they prefer to use dosimetric loops or the volume of interest to control the conformal index. Those are, we should consider those stuff before we do model configuration, because we need to construct a specific model for those volume of interest if necessary. And the last question is, who can do the model plan? Who can do the model configuration and construction and validation? I should say the team leader should be involved in the whole process, because he's the one who can decide if this model can be applied clinically, and what kind of cancer type this model can be applied to. So the team leader has a very important role in this whole process. And the dosimetrist is actually responsible for the collection of historical plan of good quality and import them to Eclipse treatment planning system and match those structures and prescriptions, so the model can extract the historical data, which is necessary for the machine learning. And a physicist with a background of statistics is recommended to do the data wash, regression, parameter tuning, and model verification and validation. So it's kind of team collaboration to apply, to configure and apply a Reptile model. So our first model at Beijing Cancer Hospital is for rectal cancer, pre-surgical rectal cancer patients. This is our first publication in 2016 about Reptile application at our center. So you can refer to this publication for more details. So we choose rectal cancer as a first case because our hospital is very good at rectal cancer, especially the surgery. So we have a lot of patients in the history, and almost all of them will do a pre-surgical radiotherapy. So we have accumulated a lot of historical cases in our library, which can be used for the model configuration. So for this specific model, our prescription is actually quite different from many other institutions. We use SIB, simultaneous integrated boosting plan, using VMAT technique, and we cover GTV with 50.6 gray, and we cover CTV with 41.8 gray, which is kind of different from other institutions. That's why I said before we configure a model, we should consider all those differences and the consistencies. And all our plans were created using 10 MV photon beams and using 1 full arc with collimator of 5 degree, millennium 120 MLC mounted on either Trilogy or TrueBeam machines. All variant Linux are used in our institution. So the first platform we used Eclipse is on the Eclipse version 13.5. We actually have 81 cases for the model library, but we were not experienced at that stage. So when we do the outlier, when we do the model cleaning, we actually excluded one patient somehow, but it was found later. So for this model, it was constructed with 80 patients, but for the later research, that patient has been put back to the model library. And we use another 70 patients who were not participated in the model training process. We use them as independent validation data set to test if the model is clinically acceptable. Remember, this article was published in 2016, which is about 5 years ago. So back to 5 years ago, this kind of results were very surprising for us, because this is the mean DVH of 70 patients. The solid line indicates our clinical plans, which were delivered historically and represents the average skills of our dosimetrists at our institution. And the dashed line represents the re-optimized results by Reptile. So actually, the Reptile are consistently better than the manual planning because the targets are almost the same, but the OARs received much lower doses than the manual planning. So back to 5 years ago, these results were kind of surprising for us. So numerically speaking, those gray bars indicates the OAR dose planned by our dosimetrist manually, and those green bars indicates the Reptile reoptimization. So for each organ, such as the femoral head, the urinary bladder, the Reptile reduced the dose to the OARs consistently, but more importantly, you can tell the distribution of the Reptile actually locates in a shorter or smaller area than the manual planning, indicating an improved consistency of the plan quality when we use Reptile, which is also a very good result. Here is a statistical report of the comparison between the model and between the manual planning and the model. Before we do the model configuration, we actually let one senior physicist to replan all the training data set. So by manual improvement, there is a kind of consistent improvement of the plan quality. And also in the validation case, from manual to Reptile automated planning, we achieved a magnitude, very comparable magnitude of improvement. So we were thinking if this manual refinement of the model can, of the training data set for the model can be done automatically by Reptile, which means like kind of model evolution, like the model can improve its training data set. We were thinking if this is possible. So we tested another study called Reptile model evolution. So basically, this is what we did, and this article was published in 2018 in JSMP. For more information, please feel free to download it. It's an open access article. For the 18.1 training data sets, we use an expert to refine them, as I mentioned. So they are denoted as P0. And for the first closed loop, we use the Reptile model to re-optimize those training data set, and we get P1, plan 1. The plan 1 consists of 75 plans, which were consistently better than the expert plan, and only 6 expert plans were better than the Reptile re-optimization results. So we put those best plans together to configure another model called model M1, and we do the second loop of closed evolution. And for the second iteration, we got 52 plans further improved, and we got 23 plans further improved, and 52 plans were the best plans in the first iteration, and also the 6 plans were the best for the expert plans. So we put them together to configure another model. And for every model, we do external validation using another 30 validation cases that did not participate in the model training process. So as a summary, the round 1 from expert plan to the first round of Reptile plan, 92% of the plans were improved significantly, as suggested by much reduced OAR dose. And for the second round, which is from Reptile results to the second Reptile result, we don't see much improvement, no matter the rate or the magnitude of OAR dose reduction, we don't see much difference. So the final optimized training library consists of 6 original plan, 52 plan 1 from the first round of Reptile plan reoptimization, and 23 plans from the second round of Reptile plan reoptimization. But also surprisingly, when we do external validation on 30 patients, we don't see much difference using those 3 Reptile plan models. But remember, we didn't display the manual planning, and all those 3 Reptile plan results were much better than the manual planning. But those 3 Reptile plan results, we don't see much difference. They were almost overlapping with each other. So the question is, why does that happen? We observed a significant improvement in the training data set, but why don't we see any improvement in the external validation? So we proposed 3 explanations for this. First is the model overfitting. Model overfitting is a phenomenon that the model can only describe very well about the distribution of the training data set. But when we apply it to external data, it does not work that much. So it's kind of overfitting because the model evolution process is only trying to let the model describe the training data set better, but it didn't consider the situations of the validation set. The second is OER independent prediction versus competition, because when we do the model prediction or the automated generation of the optimization parameters, the OERs were considered independently. But when we do the treatment planning, all the OERs were competing with each other. So there is a conflict of those OER or optimization. And also the last reason might be the lower than lower, because when we generate the automated optimization parameters, those parameters were generated lower than the lower bound of the prediction, so which is very challenging for the treatment planning system to get a better result. So we believe the potential of this plan has been exhausted during that process, so we cannot make any further improvement. Okay, so here comes to our third topic, which is the combination of ES-API plus Reptile plan. As we mentioned, the Reptile plan is actually only responsible for the optimization process, but we still have to do the beam arrangement. We still have to create the beams. We still have to contour the patient. We still have to create for example, dosimetric loops, etc. So we were thinking if ES-API can do the other process, and we use Reptile plan to do the optimization process, so that can actually automate the whole process of treatment planning. That is part of the reason why we apply both ES-API and the Reptile plan at our center. And we also found another interesting stuff, which is 1 + 1 larger than 2, and I will share this research with you. So as I mentioned, we use variant Linux only at our center, and most of them were equipped with Millennium 120 or a high definition 120 MLC. So there are several physical limitations of those MLCs. First, its maximum speed is only 2.5 centimeter per second. The second limitation is the maximum extent is only 15 centimeter. And the transmission leakage is about 1 to 3%, depending on the beam energy. So I think when we use Eclipse treatment planning system based on variant Linux, especially when we do the VMAT planning, we can understand that we can not open the jaw too large. Otherwise, we cannot get a clinically acceptable plan because of those limitations of MLC. So there should be a very good combination or optimal combination of the MLC and the jaw settings. So we tested Reptile plan prediction of the different jaw settings and found actually Reptile plan does not model the jaw very well. For example, when I close the jaw to 1 centimeter to 1 centimeter, which is almost closed. And the prediction looks like this. And when I open the jaw to 20 by 20 centimeter, and the same prediction can be achieved by the Reptile model, which means the Reptile model does not consider the actual user setting of the jaws. So we tested 100 jaw setting combinations on one specific patient, and we found we created 100 plans for one patient, and we scored them based on RTOG 0822. And we found the plan quality actually depends dramatically on the jaw settings when we use the same optimization parameters as generated by Reptile automatically. So those are the scoring of the different OERs, and this is a summed scoring. Here is a more direct display how the jaw settings will impact the those of OERs. The numbers on this table, the higher number is the lower quality the plan is, meaning the OERs will receive more dose than the other. So actually we first started from the conformal jaw setting to the PTV, and we shrink the X1 and X2 jaws step by step. So we have 10 steps on each jaw. So as a combination, we have 100 candidate plans created, and the hotter the map is, the hotter the map, the lower quality the plan is. So we want to see, like, for example, this is the best plan we have. We created using ESAPI automatically. This is the best plan using the jaw combination of 44 by 76. And the conformal jaw is here. It's not too bad, but it's not very good. It's in the middle. And the worst jaw is over here. And those are plans with hotspots with more than 107% of the prescription, which were eliminated in this study. So as a single demo, this is the best and conformal and worst plans selected from those 100 candidate plans, but all those plans were clinically acceptable. So this is the conformal, this is the best, and this is the worst. It looks like if we set the jaws manually, we probably will not set the jaws like this. We will probably set the jaw like this or like this. So this is kind of inconsistent with our experience, but this automation process can help us to find the optimal jaw combination, and we don't need to put any human labor into this process. The ESAPI will do that automatically for us. And here is the population statistics. We actually plotted the mean DVH of 10 patients, and we selected their optimal, conformal, and worst plans from 592 candidate plans. And here is a display of their average DVH. As we can tell, ESAPI can actually create and found the best, consistently better plans than the conformal or the worst plans. So this article was also published on JSMP. If you are interested, you can refer to that article for more information. The problem of the jaw setting is because of the limitation of the MLC. So actually, I want to introduce a new system that is Halcyon, because Halcyon does not have jaws anymore. So the two-layer MLC can actually travel faster and with much lower leakage and transmission than the conventional MLC. So this machine is actually quite different from the conventional Linux. And if you are interested, you can actually try the same thing using ESAPI and Reptile on this new platform. Okay, here comes to the last topic of today, which is the rapid plan model adaptation and transfer. And we have 4 subsections under this topic, which is we actually tested our model on different algorithms. We use different algorithms to optimize our testing plans. We also tested our model based on different treatment techniques and patient setup. And we also tested the model. We tested the model on different beam energies, and we also tried it to transfer the model from one institution to the other. So first, we tested and evaluated the performance of our model trained on one optimizer, and we applied it to another optimizer to see if it works. And this work was published in 2017. It was actually a question raised by one of the reviewer of our previous publication. The reviewer asked, yes, we did see a lot of dosimetric differences between the manual planning and the knowledge-based planning, but you used different optimization parameters that was predicted by Reptile. That is one major contribution. Another contribution is actually the new photon optimizer PO algorithm that is mandatory for Reptile, but for the manual, it's only optional. Actually, for the manual plans, our dosimetrists were using older versions of those planning. For the VMAT planning, we actually use PRO, Progressive Resolution Optimizer. And for IMRT plans, our dosimetrists used DVO. So for the new platform, we all use PO because it's mandatory for rapid plan. So the reviewer asked what kind of proportion the 2 factors contributed to the dosimetric factor. One factor is the different optimization parameter as generated by Reptile. The second factor is different algorithm that was used between those 2 groups. So we tested we tested the results on validation cases, and we used the same Reptile model to generate the parameters. We used the same parameter, but we changed the algorithm. We used either PRO or PO algorithm during the optimization process, and that's our results. We found that no matter what algorithm we use for the optimization, if we use the parameters that were generated by Reptile, we get consistently lower OAR dose than the conventional manual planning, which is indicated by the solid lines. So the dashed lines and the dotted lines indicate the Reptile optimization plus older PRO, and the Reptile optimization parameter plus the newer PO, respectively. So as we can tell from the DVH plotting of 30 validation cases, PO actually performs better than the PRO, but generally speaking, Reptile performs better than the human planning. So numerically speaking, the photon optimizer, the new PO algorithm, can actually contribute to a reduction of the OAR dose by 1.54 to maybe 3 or about 4%, which is a net benefit without any cost. So this study changed our clinical protocol. After we got those results, we have changed the default optimization algorithm in our Eclipse treatment planning system. So no matter we use Reptile or conventional human planning, we use PO, the new algorithm only. We don't use PRO anymore. That is actually an example of how research can guide our clinical practice at our center. And also, as you can tell, even if you don't have the Reptile license, which is kind of costly, if you can have other center to predict the the optimal optimization parameters for you, you can also use those parameters to achieve the dashed line, which is also better than the manual planning. So that is actually make it possible to apply a rapid plan model without a license, or even without a PO algorithm, you can still use or benefit from the knowledge-based planning remotely. So the next topic is cross-treatment techniques and patient setup test based on knowledge-based planning. Because if we want to apply a rapid plan model trained at one center to the other, we have to face some differences, such as different centers may use different treatment techniques. For example, our model was configured on VMAT plans only and on on supine patients only. But some institution, they will set up their patient in prone position. So we tested our model on both IMRT and VMAT plans, and we tested 20 supine and 10 prone patients, and it found out actually this model works, and this model works independently from the treatment technique or the patient setup, and this was published also in 2016 on radiation oncology. We also achieved consistently lower OAR dose than the manual planning for all the OARs, and we have a very comparable distribution to the targets. But there is one problem, which is the hotspot, because we observed much higher hotspot in IMRT plans than the VMAT plans, but we believe it's not a problem of rapid plan, but it is a problem of the IMRT technique itself. But that can be post-processed by, for example, you can contour those hotspots, and we give a much higher priority to remove those hotspots. That can be done either by ESAPI automatically, or it can be post-processed by the dosimetrist with not much effort. So here comes the last topic, which is the the last before the one before the last, which is the cross energy validation, because this is also a question raised by the chief physicist from Tianjin Cancer Hospital. And she asked me, why do you use 10 MV photon for all your rectal cancer patients? They only use 6 MV photon for all the patients. And she was wondering if this model can be used at their center if they use different beam energy than we use at our center. So we tested our model on the cases by changing different beam energies. We tested on the 10 MV, which is the default beam energy used for model configuration. And we tested on other beam energies, including 6 MV flattened and 6 MV unflattened, flattening filter-free model. And we tested on 8 MV, and we tested on 10 MV flattening filter-free mode. So this result was actually published on PLOS ONE in 2019, and on the very consistent coverage of the target dose, we actually observed a lot of difference on the OAR. I will show it on the next page. But for flattening filter-free mode, we didn't see very good performance on the target coverage, because we observed a lot of hotspot. That's because rapid plan does not predict, or rapid plan does not consider the target dose distribution. It only predicts the most likely achievable dose to the OARs. So the optimization parameters for the targets were actually manually set by our dosimetrist. So we believe that we didn't get good results for the triple F flattening filter-free beams, because those target objectives were only set for the flattened beams only, and we can adjust those manual settings to fix this problem. But we didn't try, so we simply removed, or we simply didn't touch the flattening filter-free mode. We only compared the OAR dose using the flattened beam, which is 10 MV, 6 MV, and 8 MV. And here is the results. The area above the zero horizontal line indicates the net benefit by using 10 MV. So no matter what, no matter 8 or 6 MV beam, flattened beams were used, the OARs actually received higher dose than the 10 MV, which is very consistent to our clinical practice. So when we displayed these results to my friend, she said they may consider use 10 MV in their clinical practice, but she needs to convince their therapist to accept that. Okay, here really comes to our last topic, which is the model transfer. How can we use others' model? Or probably everyone knows it is time consuming and labor intensive to configure and to validate and to verify, to test your own model. So I think it is clinically benefit to transfer the model and adapt the model to your clinical practice. So we have at least 5 motivations to use others' models, because we want to further improve our clinical efficiency. We don't have to configure our own model, but we can automate the whole process of the treatment by using the knowledge-based planning, which can improve the clinical efficiency and also the quality control. This is also reported by many literature that using a Reptile model, we can actually use Reptile model to do quality control for our treatment. And at the beginning, I think I mentioned many clinical trials, when they publish their clinical protocols, they also publish a Reptile model and ask every center to do the treatment planning based on the model. So the treatment planning quality can be comparable between those different institutions. And also we use it for education and training and also research. So we have at least 3 kind of resources that where we can get the Reptile models. First is the variant models. If you have Reptile license, actually a different version of your Eclipse will have different numbers of Reptile models. Those models are actually the product of the collaboration between Varian and Advanced Cancer Centers Global. For example, Henry Ford in the United States, they contributed to Variant model library, and also the inventors of Reptile also, they created some models and shared it with Variant. So in the library of Eclipse, you have several Variant models available depending on what version you have. This is a demo from version 15, so we have more models than the version 13.6. And also we can get Reptile models from the literature reports. For example, we have head and neck, lung, esophageal, breast, liver, prostate, cervical, and rectal Reptile models available in the literature. Also, Varian has a kind of online community, which is OncoPeer. You can also download some Reptile model online, and it is usually a zip file with password, but you don't have to unzip it. You just import it to Eclipse treatment planning system. But remember, our own physicists and dosimetrists are responsible for the quality of the treatment planning and are responsible for the clinical safety and clinical outcomes of our own patient. So when we do the model transfer and adaptation, remember to validate them on your own cases and verify each Reptile plan results manually and carefully before applying it to patients to make sure it is safe and clinically acceptable. Don't trust the machine learning result. This is very important. So for Variant models, the advantage is usually there is a very brief, very good description in detail about the model's for example, how it was created and when it should be applied and the parameters it used. So I strongly recommend the users, if you want to use malaria models, read carefully, read the clinical description carefully. And the second resource is from the literature. I use an esophageal cancer reptile model as an example. It was published on Radiation Oncology, and you can actually read the article. It's also open access. And in the additional files, there is an additional file. You can download their model configuration. Of course, you cannot download the original patient data that were used for the model configuration because it's against the HIPAA and the law, but you can download the structure of the model. Actually, that will save you much time. You can use this as kind of bottle, and you fill this bottle with your own historical cases. That will save you a lot of time when you do the reptile modeling. So that is our experience. And you can also review how their historical plans distribute and give you some kind of experience like what kind of plans I should use. And this is a regression result. And your model regression should look like this before you do the validation based on validation cases. And here's the workflow of our model verification. When you have a model configured, you first process the target DVH plot like this one. You need to review the DVH plot, but on this page, we only displayed the DVH of the OARs, but first step is reviewing the target DVH plot. And second process is to deal with the influential data points, usually includes the dosimetric outlier or the geometric outlier. So the first one is to check the geometric outlier, and but you don't destroy your model. Instead, you duplicate the model and try if the outlier is a geometric or dosimetric one, and you find an appropriate way to remove or either to remove or replan the outliers, and you repeat the process until it is satisfactory, and then you check the dosimetric outliers. I would recommend you you keep the geometric outliers if it is not a mistake. For example, if it is a too big or too small bladder, I suggest you keep it in your model, even if it is a geometric outlier, because when you apply the model, you will probably have the same problem that you can often have a patient with either very large or small bladder. And dosimetric outliers can be removed or improved by replanning usually. So that is also a good way to keep the geometric diversity of your model. So I would recommend you to re-optimize your dosimetric outlier rather than just simply remove it. And then the model verification is completed, and then you can test your model on external plans to see if it performs well. And you can adjust, fine-tune your parameters to make the model works for most of your clinical cases. So finally, I want to thank Varian Research Grant to fund our research, and also Beijing Natural Science Foundation for their funding. And I want to thank my co-workers at Peking University Cancer Hospital, Jilin Government Hospital, and Varian Research team. Thank you. And I was told I can take several questions, right? Yeah.
Yes, Professor Shang, we have a few questions over here, and thank you very much for a very informative and detailed description of the work you have done. So coming to the first question, which is from Professor Alejandro Masal, can you include a robustness analysis in the model? Robustness analysis.
The robustness of the model was actually tested. We test our model on different techniques. We tested the robustness of the model on different techniques and optimization algorithm and patient setups and different energies. We also tested on in different institutions. Remember, I acknowledged Jilin Govan Hospital, which is our satellite, but they use both Varian and Elekta machines. So we actually tested our model on Elekta machines, so it also works well. So I think, yes, that is a very important question, because when we apply only AI model, we need to test its robustness before we can apply it.
So like you have tested both on variant model as well as on Elekta model, and both are utilizing different techniques for this knowledge-based planning. One is based on AI algorithms and another is based on this library of Atlas based. Am I right? Is there any difference in the final output of the performance?
Actually, we didn't do any comparison between knowledge-based planning, which is on Reptile, and the Atlas-based automated treatment planning, because we don't have a commercial treatment planning system that is Atlas-based. So we didn't do that.
So you have mentioned in the lecture that the variant Eclipse 13, version 13 was based on Atlas's library images. So that is different, still different.
We actually tried the Atlas-based auto segmentation. We did try the smart segmentation, but it works, but not that well. So it will take you some time to refine the contour. So at our center, we didn't do much automation on the contouring. We most do the optimization process.
Okay.
Yes, we did. We did try the smart segmentation. We did try MIM, and we were not satisfied with either.
Okay, thank you. Coming to the next question, what is your experience of KBP in head and neck cases and other complex clinical sites? Have you tried any of them other than prostate site?
Yeah, head and neck is a very hot topic for KBP, and we actually read a lot of publications about the application of KBP in head and neck region, and also many groups have proposed their own either KBP or automated treatment planning, new techniques based on deep learning or even more advanced techniques. And head and neck is a very hot topic for their selection. The question is, we didn't publish any model on head and neck because there is very I think for version 13.6 Eclipse version 13.6, they only limit like 3 targets for each plan, and they of course they allow more targets available in later versions, but that was why we didn't test it on head and neck. But we do have a new model on head and neck, and we didn't publish any results on head and neck, but I believe there are a lot of articles that are available, and if you are interested, you can have them online.
Yes, there are lot numerous models and literature available on various cancer sites.
Yes, head and neck is more challenging than the rectal. The reason why we select rectal as our first model is it's relatively simple, and we need some confidence to apply these new techniques. We don't want to start from a very challenging case, and that will make us frustrated if it is not a success. Yes. So we started from
frustration. The next question is regarding that. So you have mentioned in one of the slides that like 592 candidate plans were created for each patient for 10 patients. So the question the person asked this is N. Stansuk. He asked, what is the suitable number of training cases we need? Means we have to go up to 600 planning for each patient to optimize this, validate this model, or like what is the optimal number we should go on a routine practice?
Can you still see my screen? Okay, now you can see my screen, right?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay, the 592 candidate plans were actually not used for the training. It actually, they were actually created automatically using ES API based on Reptile model, which was pre-trained by other 81 patients. The training data volume is actually a very good question. I think it was published in 2018 or 2019. There was an article on medical physics talking about how many patients we need to train a robust, to train a reliable Reptile model. And the simple answer is it depends. Usually, it depends on which kind of cancer type you are using this model for. It varies from like 60 to 200. That's my memory, but go to download that article and check out. I think it's cancer type dependent, and there is a systematic investigation on this topic published on medical physics.
So this 60 to 100 is for prostate cases from your study, right?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's a team from Australia, but I do believe there is an article talking about that topic.
Okay, okay. Thank you. And how do you check the model? Okay, I think this was answered in the further slides, but if you would like to elaborate further, how do you check the model performance? What is the criteria to accept a model? What criteria?
Okay. I think the performance of your model is actually dependent on your clinical practice. So you will have an experienced dosimetrist and an oncologist to help you to check the quality of the model. So basically, the quality is the assessment of the plan quality is consistent with your clinical practice. If your oncologist and your dosimetrist are satisfied with those models generated, with those plans generated by Reptile models, then it can be considered as clinically acceptable. But for the ES API, because it's automatic process, you need to tell the computer how you want to quantitatively evaluate your model. So we actually adopted RTOG 0822, and this is our plan quality score. And this is only our practice. You don't have to follow this one because we proposed this kind of score based on the OAR dose. So I think every institution will have your own criteria for the plan evaluation.
Thank you. And coming to the next one, what option is available for on-Centra TPS?
For options available
on-Centra.
I have no idea.
Okay. Then coming to the next question, from your data, rapid plan is very valid for producing DVH, which is similar to the original DVH. Do you have other techniques to check the validity? Means like, for example, Monte Carlo method.
Oh, you mean Monaco?
Do you have other techniques like Monte? Are you using Monte Carlo methods?
Oh, I see, Monte Carlo. It's actually a different question because we have checked the PO and PRO algorithm, but those algorithms are for optimization process, not for the dose volume calculation. So Monte Carlo is an engine for the dose volume calculation. It's quite a different topic.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't try. It's we created all the plans either based on a AAA algorithm or Acrus XB for the dose volume calculation. We didn't try Monte Carlo.
Okay, so the next question is related to this only. How do you choose the features of a model? Do you use PCA analysis to choose the feature?
Yes, let me go back to this page. So basically, Reptile actually use PCA to reduce the dimension of the data set. But as clinical users, we don't have to do that. The Eclipse will do that automatically. All you need to do is just to feed the model with your historical cases and match the structures. And then the model will extract the patient information for regression, and the PCA will do automatically by Eclipse. Yes, it is based on PCA.
Yes, yes, thank you. And
Sure.
what about non-coplanar fields?
Oh, we didn't try it because we don't use a lot of non-coplanar beams at our center. It's a good topic. Maybe you can try it, and maybe it's an opportunity for more publication. Yes, you can do that because the prediction is actually it actually considers the beam settings, the beam geometry, and that would be an interesting topic to do further investigation.
And to Professor Shang, there are few requests for your email ID. Okay, if you are,
Oh, sure.
please
Let
type
me
it in
let
the
me
chat
let me
box.
share my screen and.
Yes, you can
And,
share it
yeah,
in the chat box.
it's on the first page. Yes. Here's my email.
Yes, okay, thank you. And the recording of the whole session will be shared on the AFOMP website. So anybody can take that and contact him. And you will have the recording also. And that with this, I think all the questions are answered. And I would like I would like to request Professor Chowgle to further expedite the procedure.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Mary Joan, for very nicely conducting this virtual webinar. Thanks to Ibao Zhang for your excellent talk. And today we have more than 220 participants for this webinar. The amount of question generated, and people want to have a collaboration with you. That is what they have asked for your email. So we hope that there will be a lot of collaborations and the studies can go ahead. And that is the role of medical physicist, is also research, technology applications, and those things. With this thing, I thank you profoundly from the AFOMP for taking out your time and giving this excellent talk. Thanks to Mary Joan, thanks to Rajini Verma, Jin, Chang, all our Chai Hong, the AFOMP ExComs, all the delegates. So next webinar will be, somebody else shared it. Just, yeah. So next webinar will be on 8th July 2021, and this will be given by Georgia Loretti of IAEA, and she will be talking on the IAEA, the teaching course series 71 document, which has come recently in the month of February, which gives you the guidelines for certification of clinically qualified medical physicist, how one can become clinically qualified medical physicist and how the certification can happen. And this document has been brought in February 2021. IOMP and IMPCB has endorsed this document, and I was one of the drafting member of these guidelines. And you can look at the AFOMP website. You will find the total schedule of August, September, October, November, and December. I am looking forward all the participants to take advantage of all these the AFOMP webinars. Also, we are planning the AFOMP schools, I said, and this month, maybe third week, will come out. Within 1 or 2 days, we'll announce that school. Your suggestion, your feedback is very, very important for making this webinars successful. I also look forward for your suggestions, your active participation in the AFOMP activities. Participation, because now the abstract submission is open for AOCMP 2021, which will be held in Bangladesh. So you are requested to join to that thing. With these things, once again, I thank Dr. Ibao Zhang, Dr. Mary Joan, Jin Chians, Chai Hong, Rajini Verma, and of course, all you participants without which it would have been not fruitful. So thank you very much for joining, taking interest in these webinars. Hope to see you for next webinar in July, and before that, the AFOMP schools will be coming forward. We have, and again to encourage the young AFOMP medical physicians, this lot of awards have been started by the AFOMP. Please do visit to the AFOMP website. Please do see the AFOMP newsletter which has been released just now. Be active, be competent, be a good professional. That only the status of this thing will raise. With this thing, thank you very much, and have a nice time, safe you and your family. Thank you very much, each and everyone who have participated and actively done this success of the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.